Hello, you. So, art it is. Now, a quick look at my channel, 1066.1, you'll see that I would rather have started off with friend. However, 2 years now I've had that channel and no bites, no takers, nothing. So it's very disappointing to me. Nevertheless, art. It's as good a place as any to start. What is it? Well, as you're seeing on the screen is some things that I feel about it, and as you'll see in a minute from another friend, in brackets by the way, YouTube friend, Jonathan Hallstrom, it can be anything really. My art, well, you got to understand art, and for me, the interesting thing about it is not what it is so much, which is interesting, but more when does it start? That's of more interest to me. When does art start? We all know that it's a human attribute, don't we? Well, as you see, Jonathan's up at the moment, and he's bills himself as an artist. And as you'll see also in a couple of minutes, he's not a bad one too. Subjective, of course, my own personal opinion. Now, my own art. I make tiles, and that's an art activity. I also paint, which is another art activity. But my own art is bullshit. I am a bullshit artist. Example. Money doesn't talk. It's never been able to utter a word. Bullshit doesn't walk. It's never been able to grow any toes, or ankles, or legs, or brains. That's what I mean by bullshit. Bullshit, that phrase, money talks, bullshit walks, however, I believe was invented by another bullshit artist. And I understand it, and I think you understand it too. And given the opportunity that I'm taking right now, I would hold money to its talk. I want it to talk. So do you. I don't want bullshit to walk. I want bullshit to sit the fuck down and listen to money talk. And then look from an artist's individual bullshit point of view. Anything worse than hell? Yes. A puppeteer with no strings attached. Anything worse than that? Yes. All of you fucking humans thinking I or you cannot see said strings attached. You know, it is often, ever so often repeated, though very rarely is it so well seated. Man be the swine, pretending it's not repeated, nor well seated. That swine sat between ears. Each man proclaims, be defender of stairs. Levelled by other swine, pretending only a dove occupies that throne each calls seat of man's love. Now cretin I've seen slip sheath of many a lover's eyes, moron, fool, and crazy too, from backseat spies. but never a shiver from self-made mirror, or thanks to goose or duck's a blood-soaked pillow. Swine, being, as both of them know very well indeed, twist of pig's name, and man, too chicken shit to face swine's shame game. So art. Well, as you see on the screen at the moment, there's some tiles that I made. I'm showing the process step by step by step. And one of the things I like about glazes on clay, on tiles, etc., is that when you apply the glazes, it's not what you get once it's fired. That magical moment of taking it out the kiln and looking at something that is potentially a disaster, or potentially exactly what you want, or potentially even more than what you want. I love it. It's one of the reasons I got into ceramics and glazes. There is another reason, of course, and that other reason is, from my point of view, is that it is absolutely, and I mean precisely that, abso-fucking-lutely impossible to duplicate exactly. That means that every single one is a 100% unique effort. Work of art, well, that, as you know, and we've looked at, is subjective. So art, again, when does it start? That I find much more interesting. We all know where it starts, don't we? In your own heads. We know that, don't we? That's where it starts. When it first started, the Christian argument was God. Others argue others. So it's been around a long time. When does it start? When does it start in you? In my particular case, I've known about art, ever since I was a very, very, very small little nipper. In fact, the first time I did it was when I was about 8 or 9. And I copied a picture. And then I lied about it, said it was my original picture. Then I knew that there was something special about art. Of course, I learned that lying is also an art too, then as well. So, art. When did my art start? You see, I think that every artist will agree, that actually art starts when you internalize it, and as Jonathan says, become passionate about it. Well, that happened for me in 89. It was then, in 89, that I realized something that every other human being confronted with a uppity artist always says, and I've heard it, and I've said it: I am the art. As a consequence, everything that I've signed from then on had LIFE, life, me, as its bottom line signature. Oh, I use others, DD, and my real name, Lloyd Davies, too. Anyway, just to go back to that very first experience when I was about between 8 and 12. That, by the way, when you're an adult, that 8 to 12 range. If you think like that 8 to 12, then they call you a moron. That's the definition of moron. An adult between the ages of 8 to 12, mental capacity. Anyway, just to go back to that line. The picture that I copied was one of those French artists. I think it was one of the ones called the Four Seasons or something. I think it was Spring. Can't remember. Either way, I was very taken with it, and I copied it. Freehand. I didn't use any tracing paper, but I copied it, and then I claimed it was mine. I told you, right? Well, the interesting thing about it is that I had an uncle who I claimed it to, and an aunt, and they were very much into art, design, etc. And I have no doubt Didn't clock it then, of course, but I have no doubt that they knew that that was not my original work. That's when I learnt about lies being for the benefit for others, as well as something that is really horrible. The very horrible has taken me, as I've said, until 89. So again, art. A very, very, very big word. Singular is what I call it downstairs. But to me, a very big word. Only two that I know that are bigger. One, of course, as I've already mentioned, and it's one that you should all subscribe to. L-I-F-E, life. The other, of course, I thought was friend. As you see, there's down there another chair. But I haven't been able to find any. Not one. That is prepared to come and sit as protagonist. Not one. As I said, very rarely sat that shivering self-made mirror. Very rare. Anyway, you're looking at some art of mine on the screen, and one of the art forms is poetry. Now, I'm not going to claim to be another Shakespeare, but I am going to claim, however, that his poetry was first internalized. His art, poetry, was first with him internalized before externalized. I'm also going to claim that Shakespeare didn't consider the English language wearying, that he tackled all those tilted axles and bearings. He saw not your mind's marrow spiked, nor your bone rotten, but fallow fields and deeds misbegotten. Blake considered not the barrow borrowed, nor boy up on charted streets so sorrowed, took not his blighted hearse curse to pram, but dirty purse to infants man and spam. Shelley, Wordsworth, and Keats metered deletes, too, to seats took poor humans defeats. Shelley without wellies saw section stone. Ozymandias, with his loud, indifferent commands from bone. Wordsworth, the depths of stupidity's weight, like lake, wash just seasonal child in hate. A fate both baited, believing in tongue, preferably out-stammering the gun. And Keats, well, his dear feet's feet ignored not all streets, though his best naughty boy's feet sought those treats to the north, with hungry toes. So knapsack full of vowels followed close his nose. To Scotland that was, there to find ground just as hard and yard just as long as in the south, where mouth too sought some song. But all, I think, saw hope in poetry, and hope, mother tongue's merciless eye upon